This that no nonsense. I come to another video talking about our Mavericks a dangerous playoff team. They started off very hot, and obviously the regular season is a marathon. And with young teams that like to prove themselves, they go hard every game. But then the injuries start to happen, guys start to break down. So obviously a rough patch happened. It happens. So it's time to see can they recover from that. And due to Luka's injury, Kristaps has taken out the advantage to get his legs under him more and get more of a feel of the game. So now Kristaps and Luka, which Kristaps is going to be the X factor, alongside Tim Hardaway Jr., who is a great brother, but he still takes bad shots to me, right? He still takes bad shots to me. But Tim Hardaway Jr. is a great brother. The Brunson kid is hurt, so I assume he's going to get healthy. I hope he's going to get healthy. And I think he's going to get healthy. And like I said about Luka, he is an elevator. But what elevators tend to do, they tend to break down, right? So Luka's determining factor for me is what's he going to do in the playoffs, right? I think they're going to compete very well against offensive teams because Dallas Mavericks are a team that's built to run and shoot threes. They have no dogs on that team. Now that I think about it, really have no dogs on that team, right? They have nobody that establishes a sense of brute force. Everything is finesse and skill. So Dallas will love to turn games into a finesse and skill type game. But against teams that are physical and with extreme brute force, then I can see Dallas struggling. And this is why that is the Clippers. That is a team like the Bucks. And that could be the Lakers because LeBron is just too big for everybody on that team. They're too skinny, right? They're too weak. However, Lakers like to run up and down the court, and the Dallas like to do that too. So I can see Dallas getting opportunities and turning it into a skills game. But at the end of the day, if Lakers lose to Dallas, it'll still be considered an upset. Dallas can go to the second round until the Western Conference Finals, right? They are a dark horse. They are a very great team. They're really a contender. Really, got to keep an eye on them. If you feel you match up great with Dallas, then you don't mind seeing them. If you feel you don't match up well with them, then you kind of don't want to see them, right? They are a very great offensive team. So you got to be on it when you play defense against this team, right? So they're going to talk about it.
He's 28 and 11, yeah. 50 and 40s. Like, he's been sensational. And this is why seeding in the regular season might actually matter, even though it's not popular to say. The 2 seed right now would face these guys. You want to face number 1 offensive basketball, second-team All-NBA guy in Luka, a guy who one day I think will be an All-NBA player in Kristaps in the first round of the playoffs. Rick Carlisle coaching, I don't. And
Dallas, whenever they come in 7 or 8 seed, 6, 7 or 8 seed, them and the Memphis Grizzlies are the 2 teams that usually contenders do not want to face. And Grizzlies' style of play was more conducive in the playoffs anyway because the Grizzlies back then, the grit and grind, they loved to play hardcore defense. They was able to rebound very well. They had skilled bigs in Zach and Mark, right? And they loved to play very slow. They didn't mind getting a lot of offensive rebounds. They was great at that. And they was also great in getting to the free throw line. Memphis obviously just didn't have a lot of shooting and a lot of talent overall. But a contender really didn't want to face the Memphis Grizzlies, right? You got to be on it when you face the Memphis Grizzlies. They had great chemistry. They had great continuity, right? You just had to overwhelm them due to you being the better team, right? Because the Memphis Grizzlies was going to at least take 1 or 2 games from you, right? And now they seem to always put together a team that can be a team that nobody wants to face. And right now, as the Memphis Grizzlies are right now, being that John Moran and all of them, I'm sure a team, they know they're there, but, they don't mind facing them. But they can still be that team, right? They are a great small market team. They are extremely underrated. Man, you look at this Dallas Mavericks team, they got a championship level offense. But their defense is going to be their question mark. But they're going to be that team where you're going to have to kill this team, right? You're going to be looking at the way they constructed. They have shooters everywhere. They run 5 out in their starting lineup. And really, they look like they're running 5 out on their bench, too. They're just shooting everywhere. They got to be a team where you got to be extremely physical. You got to be with the brute force. And you have to turn it into a physical game, right? And you got to knock the confidence out of them. This is what veteran teams try to do to young teams. You're going to have Dallas feeling confident. And they got a great coach. Whether you feel something about Rick Carlisle, like I said before about Rick Carlisle, he is a championship coach. Right? Championship coach don't develop. They have a system. If they have the right amount of players for that system to work, then it will work. A lot of guys try to evaluate championship coaches by saying that go to this bad team and try to carry it. It's not going to happen. For one, coaches don't put the ball on the floor and put it in a basket. That's one. The garbage players do. And as you can see, that's a test of why they still lose. So you can't evaluate Steve Kerr, Rick Carlisle. You know, you're looking at a coach like a championship coach. Even Mike Budenholzer. Can't evaluate those guys when they don't have the amount of talent to make their system shine. You look at the Atlanta Hawks. They was going down when Mike Budenholzer lost the players that he felt are needed for his system, right? So now Milwaukee has the right amount of players, and you see that they thrive. You're looking at the the Dallas Mavericks, excuse me. Offensively, they're thriving. And then Steve Kerr's system is going to thrive again once he gets those desired players. Right? So they're going to have a great coach.
We're no longer in a big three era, Ryan Hollins, right? Like that era is done, for at least for now. I do wonder where Luka and Kristaps, how high up the duo ladder they can climb. I think it's impossible for them this year to crack the top four. We know who the top four are, and I know you and I would probably disagree about the order of the top four, but that's your top four.
Now looking at this top four, I put Embiid and Simmons one down. I put Joker and Murray ahead of them. I think Embiid and Simmons is falling down. They still got potential. When I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't think of a duo. Usually the 1 and 2 option becomes a duo, but I just don't see a duo. I see Giannis and I see Middleton as a second, but I see him as a far second, just to be honest with you. I see him as a distant second, a way far second. LeBron and AD is the best duo in the league, right? The way the offense is set up is LeBron and AD and whoever can get the crumbs. They don't really have a true third option, right? And Anthony Davis is the most perfect teammate LeBron can ever get. He don't demand the ball, he catch lobs. LeBron likes to pass. LeBron likes to throw a lob or kick it out to three-point shooters. Right? Damon CJ by reputation is going to be on there. But when you look at this season, that team is not a great team. They don't defend, and they went out to Trevor Ariza a little bit too late. Right? And they seem to compete when Dame scores 50 in a week. And it's not sustainable. Right? But overall, this list is debatable. Right? I slide Giannis and Middleton. And this is not an individual debate to say that Harden and Russ and Kawhi and PG-13 and Luka and Kristaps is better than Giannis. No, I'm not saying that. I believe Giannis is the best player in the NBA. This is just a duo. I don't see Giannis and Middleton as a duo. I see Harden and Russ, PG, Kawhi, and Luka and Kristaps more of a duo.
Duos. Even if you disagree on the order, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Giannis and Middleton, Harden and Russ, Kawhi and Paul George. Those are your four best duos.
Are we talking in season or are we talking postseason? Are we talking about like what have you done for me lately?
I'm talking about right now. Those are your best four duos in basketball. And KD and Kyrie will probably slide into that 5 spot next year, but they ain't there. So who's the 5th best duo in basketball? Going into the year, I'd have said Embiid and Simmons, hands down. But not now. Tatum and Kimba have gotten their name on the list, but they're not the best. Is it Luka and Kristaps? I think Luka's the best player on that right side of the screen. He's the best number one.
To move over a column.
Keep doing what they did last night. Keep doing what they did last night. You play like that, you're unquestionably one of the 5 best duos in basketball when you have Luka filling it up like that, Kristaps doing it on both ends.
Yeah, no, I can't argue that for the regular season. Obviously, I would take Kawhi and PG because their versatility in the postseason. But I said since LeBron got AD, that was the best fit because Anthony Davis by nature is a finisher. And LeBron, what does he do? We know he loves the pass. So that was going to be a match.
That is, I 100% agree with you. They fit together like a puzzle piece. And then you surround them by three-point shooters, and voila, you have what they are now.
Made in heaven, essentially. But as far as Luka and Kristaps, I don't have questions with them come playoff time. It's their defense. They don't have enough. They're not stacked with enough 3-and-D guys. They didn't get in the running for one of them.
They would love to have Danny Green, but this is a great point. The way they built, they're not really built to stop anybody. They don't really have a brute force on that team in the Dallas Mavericks. They're built to try to outskill you, outrun you, and outshoot you. And teams that have problems with stopping teams that do that, Dallas is going to beat you. Or you're going to struggle against Dallas. But against teams, a physical team, right, you're going to have to try to wear Luka down and knock the confidence off this young team. So it'll be interesting to see how Luka performs. Because like I said before, great players make great things happen.
Morris twins.
Yep.
They don't have an Avery Bradley on staff. They don't have your Patrick Beverleys of the world. So when you get in a matchup series, anybody, hear me, outside of the Lakers or Clippers, they have a shot at, because there's no one to guard LeBron James. There's no one to guard Kawhi, Paul George, and company. So outside of that, that's a headache. And I played for Rick Carlisle. I've been in play.
I still think the Mavericks is going to get Lakers some problems, to be honest with you. I think the Mavericks are a lot younger. They're going to have the youth advantage. And Lakers got a lot of brute force type players. So that's why Lakers are really expected to truly beat them. There's really nobody on that team that can stop LeBron. LeBron is a guy that loves to run and brute force his way into the bucket. And there's nobody on Dallas that can stop that, right? And the moment Dallas start double teaming LeBron, it's a wrap. However, Lakers also like to run up and down the court. So if they turn it into a skilled game, then they're going to struggle against Dallas, which I think Dallas can pull off if Lakers like to run up and down the court. And their role players, Lakers role players, I think Dallas got better role players, to be honest with you.
Playoff situation, Rick. The one thing that Rick is going to do, he's almost like a European-esque coach he turned it into. He will expose your weaknesses. We played him in one game, and Chris Paul was cooking. And I swear to God, before it was really popular, he goes a box and one on Chris Paul, and he left Matt Barnes, my guy Matt, wide, absolutely open. And it was so absurd, we had not seen that defense. We ended up losing. We were up by 10 or so, ended up losing in the fourth quarter. But Rick Carlisle will throw
because you guys couldn't figure it out, or you just weren't expecting it?
It was, you don't see it in the NBA. You do not, and Chris Paul was face guarded at half court. And Jamal, he might have went triangle into and face guarded Jamal Crawford in the.
Well, because you guys win championship teams. I don't care what anybody tells you. The Clippers at no point of their heights was never, ever a championship contending team. They were a team that can maybe get to the finals, but you just didn't see them winning. You didn't see them beating the Heat, nor did you see them beating Cleveland. I try to imagine that team. Hey, what if they would have not blown that 3-1 lead to Houston? What if they would have beaten Golden State? What they would have beaten Cleveland? Right? If Cleveland was injured, then yeah, maybe they could pull it off. But that team just didn't have enough. Right? It just ultimately came down to that. Right? At their beginning years, they had a better bench. But as time went by, Jamal Crawford began to get older, and they began to get rid of a lot of their bench players. Right? They always struggle with adversity. Chris Paul, like I said, when Chris Paul competes for the championship, he's going to nitpick you to death. Especially when he's unreliable. Chris Paul has the inability to see that, hey, bro, I can't talk stuff to you because I don't know when I'm going to get injured. Right? They didn't have enough wing players either. They overly relied on, what's the brother name, J.J. Redick. They had DeAndre Jordan, who didn't really have a post game. They really just loved to lob it up all day. And Blake Griffin and Chris Paul began not to fit together. But Blake Griffin just wasn't the type of center that just going, or power forward rather, that was just going to work beside Chris Paul. They was great in the fast break because they was athletic and could catch lobs. Excuse me. They were smart though. I give it to them. But never in my mind can I imagine that there was truly a championship contending team. There was not.
The same game, or Blake Griffin, and said, you're not going to beat us. But Rick Carlisle will throw one of those defenses at you in a playoff series that could catch a team off balance. I mean, in
win an away game.
So you're saying if they get a matchup, right now they'd face the Clippers, but they very well could face the Rockets. You're saying they get a matchup against the Rockets, they will just basically say, James Harden, we're going to do everything we can to take you out of the game and see what the hell else.
Well, you know, that's if you take it what he said and apply it to every superstar. Well, he's basically saying that Rick Carlisle would adjust. But ultimately, that's what a team would normally do to James Harden. I'm sick of James Harden going on TV saying that I get double teamed more than any superstar ever. That's simply James Harden because you come down the court and you do nothing with the ball but hold it all day. So they just throw a double your way. That's why. When you look at other great players, they run a system. That's why they double teams are more effective. Steph Curry just don't come down the ball and hold it for 24 seconds. Steph Curry moves off the ball. So if he gets doubled and he's moving, it alters the defense. You look at Kobe. You look at Michael Jordan. They ran system, more of a system. And Kobe ISO'd, but Kobe mastered balance. And that's what James got to master. The ability to play a team game and ISO. James just like to come up and down the court, and then he's going to get doubled. And it actually could work because he's not moving without the ball. He's just taking the double. So that's what he likes to do. But Dallas Mavericks and the Houston Rockets are like looking at each other in the mirror. Obviously, Houston they got they got big bodies, right? I think Dallas is smarter, right? But I think Houston got a lot more experience. I think James Harden is the best offensive player in the league by default. But I think he is the best offensive player in the league. I think Russell Westbrook is a brute force type player. So I really don't see anybody on Dallas being able to guard Russell Westbrook if he explodes. But I think Dallas is a lot smarter. I think Rick Carlisle going to have an advantage over D'Antoni because D'Antoni don't adjust. It'd be a good matchup. Even though Rockets is still expected to win, it'd be a good matchup. It's going to be a lot of 120 games.
Happens.
Absolutely, and even though there's not a soul to guard James or Russ, I don't know if the rest of the guys will go out and beat you. That will be a headache.
Well, and you know, I'm focused on whether or not they'd play the Clippers in round one. If they were to play the Rockets in round one, a tough thing for them is the Mavs can play a small style with a 7'3" guy on the court. They can play small while having a monster.
Exactly. That's another reason why they can possibly keep up with Houston. Because if you got a good small ball unit, you're going to be able to keep up with Houston, right? But it's going to come down to, like I said, star play. But then again, we know about playoff Harden and playoff Russ. Playoff Russ tends to make horrible decisions, and playoff Harden tends to wear down. And that's going to be their determining factor. But Dallas is a team that won't have no problems playing against Houston. It's just going to be teams trying to outskill and outshoot each other. Like I said before, Dallas is a lot younger because Houston, they're a lot older, but Houston is a lot more experienced. It's going to be interesting to see those teams face. As far as Clippers, the reason why they struggle against Houston is because, one, they foul too much. Clippers foul absolutely too much. And two, a team that execute well on the offensive end, a team that just execute well, period, is going to hurt a team that doesn't have chemistry. Right? So if I was the Dallas Mavericks, I love to go against the Rockets. I feel like that I could get anything I want. It's just going to come down to who can play better, who can do each other's work better. Right? It's like two guys picking the same character in a fighting game. Who can use that character better? I try to go against the Lakers, right? But the Lakers get into that brute force, right? And get Dallas, pretty much put them in a chokehold. That's pretty much what a brute force team is going to do. They're going to put an offensive finesse team in a chokehold. Then it's going to be up to that finesse team. They're going to force Dallas to play defense, and they're going to force Dallas to play physical back. But if Dallas could turn into a skills game, then I think they're going to get the Lakers problems because Dallas got better role players. But Clippers is a team that I think that they can handle Dallas. They're too physical. And I think Clippers got... You can debate the role player. I think Dallas got better shooters, but I think Clippers got better role players in terms of physicality and ball handling. And they don't rely on Kawhi Leonard like Mavericks rely on Luka Doncic. So this is why it's great that Kristaps Porzingis is picking up, because he's going to be their true X factor.
Stir on the court, because Kristaps don't want to play traditional center anyway. But if your tallest guy is Robert Covington, even if Kristaps doesn't want to post up a bunch, if you got what would that be? An 8-inch height differential, they could cause some problems. Now, their defense is not good. We're talking about how they can defend. Their defense is not good, but their offense is so overwhelming. I do think they can take in the first round, they could go to 6 games. And once you get to 6 games,
anything happens.
Well, go ahead, say that you think they can take Clippers to 6 games because you don't like the Clippers, Nick Wright. Go ahead and say that. They can also take the Lakers to 6 games in Houston, and I think they have more of a chance to take Houston Lakers to 6 games than they do the Los Angeles Clippers.
You're a dangerous team. I think and Luka's playing out of it. If Luka's healthy, he's as scary as almost anybody in the league offensively. Defensively, he's a lot of work to do. Offensively,
there's a lot of liabilities.
Yeah.
Rick probably goes matchup zone. Who knows?
Is Seth Curry coming off the bench? Another guy just offense, but scary.
All right, let's get back to last night's game.
Well, that's it. Dallas is going to be a team. Like I said, they could go to the second round. They could pull off a Western Conference Finals. I like to see what Luka is going to do in the playoffs. I like to see what Kristaps is going to do in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see them in the playoffs, right? Like I said before with Dallas, you got to be physical with this team, right? They're number 1 in offense, right? At least float between 1, 2, and 3. So trying to outskill them is going to be extremely difficult. So you got to beat them and hark at their weakness, their glaring weakness, right? And as far as Rockets being small, right? Like I said, Dallas and Rockets is going to be looking at each other in the mirror. One is going to be younger, one is going to be older. Dallas is going to have the benefit of youth and speed, and Rockets is going to have the benefit of learning from their mistakes that Dallas may not have yet playing that style, and also having more experience. Although I think Dallas is smarter, they have far higher IQ. But this is a Mavericks video, so that's it. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and this and no nonsense.